Well, last week I mentioned that I thought I was about done with the body on this manure spreader. There were some of you that are pretty astute and you've been watching and kind of expecting what's to come next, and you realize that I did forget something, actually a couple things. Many of you mentioned that there needs to be this tin shield on this back beater here to keep the manure from falling forward to hit the driver. You're right, I did forget that. I'm going to have to get a piece of light metal bent to go onto there. There's something else that I have neglected to put on. Curious if you have thought of that yet. But the biggest part, like I mentioned, is building the wheels. These are the hubs that came off. These are the front hubs, and these are the two rear hubs. They have the Smith Manufacturing Company cast onto them. And these are the tires that I took off the wheels. The back two tires were there, and the inside diameter, they need to be about 47 and a half, in that category. There's a little bit of old wood left still, and the outside fellies seem to be about 1.5 inches thick, and these tires are 4 inches wide. There was only one front tire that was left. That one on the ID is 28 inches, and it also is a 4-inch tire. So I did a quick check in my back room where I keep felly halves and spokes, and I did find a set of fellies that are 4 inches wide by 46. And that's close enough. They are 2 inches thick, but I can take these down to 1.5 inches without any problem. And a 46-inch felly will easily stretch out to that 47 inches that we need. So one of the benefits of being able to do my own steam bending, I can custom bend what I need. And in this case, I need some 28-inch diameter fellies. Well, if I'm going to make them 1.5 inches thick, I have to undersize that by 3 inches. So that would mean a 25-inch form. But when you take them off the form, generally they're going to spring just a little bit. So I think I'd rather have a 24-inch form. So I have made lots of forms over the years because I've bent all sizes of fellies. But I don't have a 24. The smallest I have over here is a 26. If I were to use this 26 and add another 3 inches, I'd end up right at 29, so I'd have to suck it in. I think I'd rather make a 24. That'll give me a 27, and actually it's going to relax just a little bit when I take it off these forms. Me personally, I would rather have fellies that are just a little undersized. So when I push them out, when they spring in, they actually help keep those spokes into the hubs. If I have wide ones, I can suck them in, but they have a tendency to pull those spokes out of the hub. So I'd rather be undersized. So I've got some remnants of an OSB, some 1/2 inch, and some old 2x4s and 2x6s that I'll make my form out of. So I've got a couple pieces of 8/4 ash. I'm going to bring this down to a 6/4, which is 1.5 inches. Need two of them that are 4 inches wide so I can get two pieces out of each of these. And I do look at this grain, and these two are really nice straight grained. So as I follow the grain on both of these, there's very little deviation. Right here at the beginning, there's maybe a 1/4 inch here, but then it just starts to run pretty straight through the whole length of these two boards. So for these 28-inch front wheels, to figure the length that I need, I'm going to take 28 times pi, 3.14, and I'm going to multiply that out. It's going to give me inches. Well, I want that divided in half because I only want half of that per half of a felly section. And then I would like another 6 inches extra on each end as I'm bending to give me some leverage to bring that around that last final curve. So these two boards figure out that I need 56 inches. Well, my bands are 96 inches, so I have 40 inches extra in length. So I'm going to take a 20-inch piece and block both ends so that I have solid contact up to the end of my bands, and that'll allow me to bend these around my 24-inch form and give me 27-inch fellies. we're going to attempt to do today is bend 1.5 inch thick, 4-inch wide white ash. I've got my pressure steamer running at about 3 pounds. You notice I have a little blow by. I do that on purpose. If I completely seal it up, it doesn't get wet inside. It runs kind of a dry heat, so I like a little blow by to provide a little more moisture. It may not make sense, but that's how it works. So I've got my blocks on my bands, and when I bring out my steamed piece of wood, it'll fit right in, sandwiched in between these two blocks, and I'll have a clamp on the joint and a clamp on the end, and then it will allow this band to be pulled up around this form. So as this band gets pulled up by my two cables here, it's going to come up about so far, but it's not going to come completely to where my legs are straight. So I've got a couple of come-alongs here. I can grab the end of my bands and I'll winch that together. Then I also have some pipe clamps that I'll probably have to put across here to bring it up tight against the form. Many of you have already followed along in my steam bending process, so you probably already understand this. This is a press that I made and a steamer that I made, and the big factor on bending kiln-dried lumber is pressure, because I have to reintroduce moisture into that wood and I have to force it in. It's not like bending green sawn fresh lumber. So anyway, once I get to going, I won't be able to explain what's happening, but I think you'll have an idea of how it's going to work once that goes. I'm going to let this be under pressure for 3 hours. It is going to be 2 hours for every inch thick. I'm 1.5 inches thick, so there's 3 hours worth once the pressure is up. So I've got about 15 minutes into the process. I've got another 2.5, 3 hours to wait, and we'll get these bent. I only put 2 in the steamer at this time. I'm going to bend it around and probably let it set on this form for perhaps about a half hour. It'll let things kind of cool down and those fibers will stiffen up and hold it a little bit. Then I can gently relax it just enough to get it off of the form. And then I'll leave the clamps on it and the come-along on it and set it aside. And generally I like to let it set overnight, 12 to 24 hours. But I have another set of bands that I'll put the other 2 in and get them bent as well, hopefully today. We're supposed to be crowding that 100-degree mark, so I'm down here early trying to get this done before we get real hot today. Well, it went pretty much as I had kind of planned. One little thing that showed up is my come along was about the wrong height. I wanted to interfere with my jack here, so that worked some, but the clamps on top worked pretty well. When I took the come along and just encircled the whole thing, I have to make sure that I'm in front of this post so I can get it back off. It's not the best on this cable to be across these sharp corners, but you gotta do what you gotta do. So all in all, it went pretty well. I like how they turned out. I do have the steamer fired up again and the last two pieces put in. So hopefully the second two go as well as the first two did. Appreciate you coming along. Thanks for watching.